Pisces, it's Raina. Welcome to your life path reading for March 2018. And this is going to be a more philosophical reading that incorporates oracle cards and law of attraction cards. I just started over, so I already picked your law of attraction card. Before I begin, I wanted to kind of touch upon the issue of picking cards because I got a comment the other day about wanting to see me actually shuffling and picking the cards on camera. And of course I can't read that person's mind, but I assumed it's because they want to make sure that the cards are really randomly picked and not that I'm sitting here deciding which one would be the best one. And if you're somebody who has watched me more than once before, you probably have seen that I don't just pick the best cards of the deck. I thought about doing a parody where I pick the Sun card, the Wheel of Fortune, all these cards, and then act like it was just a coincidence as a joke. But then I'm afraid that people would take me seriously. No, I mean, as a matter of fact, sometimes I will pick additional cards at the end of a reading if I feel like it ends on a negative note or it doesn't really kind of like have that sense of closure because of the type of card it is. So that is just not true. And really, it's not about the cards. It's about the message behind the cards. So if some people, maybe that reading, whatever that reading was, they thought it was a little bit too rosy and they wanted to make sure that I wasn't just blowing smoke up somewhere. And no, I mean, I value integrity above all else, and that kind of thing, to me, it's an outrageous thing that anybody would do that. So this is one of the reasons why I'm telling you that I already picked this card, so I'm not even going to shuffle. I had laid it down. I'm just picking it up to show you again what it looks like. And this is from the Law of Attraction deck. And it says, generosity. Money is positive energy and allows me to be generous to others. And, a lot of times I think people lack generosity because they themselves have either grown up without money and it's kind of like a fear-based thing for them. They feel like if they give it to somebody else, they won't have it, or they simply don't think they currently have enough money to give. So I think it's really important not to jump to conclusions about why somebody isn't generous, but by the same token, to be able to not be fear-based around money and to give freely. Although with the caveat that you don't want to deprive yourself, in being generous to another person. I always have to say that because Pisces has such a big heart, and you have to honor yourself as well. Okay, so that's one card. Now I'm going to pick 3 oracle cards in this reading. I'm not going to pick any tarot cards. This particular card I'm shuffling right now is the, what's it called? The Energy Oracle by Sandra Ann Taylor. The Temple Path. So I will be, reading from the booklet, and I'm going to now pick a card from Keepers of the Light Oracle. Oh, jeez. I just dropped all of my cards because I have big piles right off the camera of these different decks. So, okay, let's pick this one. I think this is my favorite oracle deck, the Keepers of the Light. Ooh. I don't think I've gotten this one. I don't know if I've ever picked this one. I like to pick cards I've never picked before. This one says soul expansion. Your consciousness is expanding. You understand the connections between all things. Of course, like right now we're in Pisces, so that probably is heightening your skills or abilities that you already have, like big time. So, all right. And then the last deck that I'm going to be picking from is the Earth Magic deck. Stephen Farmer, I believe his name is. I'm going to start with this one. Clouds, shape-shifting. Definitely Pisces is a shapeshifter extraordinaire. Very, very flexible and mutable, malleable, that sort of thing. Okay, so I'm going to start with that card. In both subtle and dramatic ways, you can shapeshift by your choice of clothing, hairstyle, adornments, and even mannerisms, such as facial expression, gestures, and the way you walk. By adjusting these along with your internal attitude, you can actually display different personas. When you experiment with these variations of self-expression that are not how you ordinarily present yourself, others will react to you depending on the degree in which your persona contrasts with the one they are most familiar with. Be like the clouds as you try out different forms, stretching your limits at time, willing to move and adjust as necessary. Lift your head up, square your shoulders, and stand tall such that your chest and heart open to the world, and note how this feels. You may feel vulnerable at first, but stay with it. Then let your shoulders fall forward slightly. Pull your chest inward an inch or two and let your head drop a little. Observe how this feels. Experiment with contracting your aura, your energy field, then expand it as far as you comfortably can. By this kind of shape-shifting, you can consciously choose your expression into the world. Just remember who you are at the core. It's very interesting because I just completed a series videos on YouTube about the rising signs, which is kind of like projecting this image. And Pisces is like a master at this. And even the sun sign, I honestly believe that this is like the Earth Magic deck is obviously going to be like a Native American, maybe shamanic school of thought. So they have their own views on things. I feel like you have to have a core. I do believe you have to be flexible and adapt to your circumstances and your environment, because that helps you to relate to others and also for them to relate to you, and it makes life a lot easier. When people are too insistent on having things be a certain way, they lose that elasticity that makes life easier, you know. So, but on the other hand, as with anything, it can be taken to the extreme. And when you don't have a core self, that's when things get a little bit hairy. So, at the same time that Pisces is learning how to adapt to their circumstances, also learn more about yourself and your true self and who you really are, so that you never depend upon another person to define you. And you always know, and so that you have proper boundaries too, so that you are not questioning whether or not something is okay that another person is doing. You know, no, I don't go for this. And you don't have to question it. You just know that these are my boundaries. This is what I feel okay with, and I'm not willing to deal with people who do this, that, or the other thing. Because sometimes, you know, flexibility taken too far is just having no boundaries and anything goes. And with Pisces, a lot of times if I see, you know, if I'm doing a private reading and I see sun, moon, or rising sign in Pisces, I get the feeling that this person is an old soul, that they've been through the ringer in their childhood. And when that happens and you see the people that are supposed to be gods, like you see parents and other adults, you see their flaws early on, you don't idealize those things. You can see the humanness in everyone and the fallibility. And so that can be, it's funny because that is a good thing to know, but when you're young, sometimes it's better to think that they are gods, because then it allows you to have this belief that somebody's there to save you. But I think a lot of Pisces know that they are on their own to some degree. Even though they may act dependent, I think a lot of Pisces have had to rely on themselves and maybe even take care of other people. And that kind of thing may have been the way it was when you were a child, but you don't want to repeat it in adulthood, is basically where I'm getting at with all of this rambling. So, okay. So the next card that I'm going to talk about is this Temple Path. Let me get out this deck. 12. Receiving this card represents your own spiritual evolution. The winding path you are on leads to a blessed temple and a lovely garden, symbolizing the spiritual destiny that your soul has had in mind for this lifetime. This card upright is here to tell you that what you're going through now is all part of your soul's process. You're on your karmic path and heading in the right direction, and the choices you make now are important for your personal growth and life lessons. The lights around the temple represent the spirit world, your family members and friends, angels and guides, all the loving spirit helpers who long to assist you. Call upon them and be open to their wisdom and inspiration. This is a wonderful, life-expanding time. So keep in mind your personal priorities as well as your spiritual connection. Following your higher intentions will help you move your life forward in dramatic ways, and connecting with spirit in your higher self will have a wonderful influence on all that you experience. It's funny because, Pisces, I think, is the most psychic sign. And yet, isn't it interesting that Pisces people may not feel that way? They may feel confused. The ruler of Pisces is Neptune, and one of the buzzwords or keywords of Neptune is confusion. And confusion, I think, comes when you don't really have that sense of who you are. I think that is going back to that first card about shape-shifting. When you have shape-shifted so much, it's hard to really get a handle on who you are, because you're reacting. You're spending all this time reacting to one crisis after the other. So I think that, and also when I talk about reacting to crises, the other thing too is if you tend to get involved in codependent relationships, then your energy is expended taking care of this other person. So I would really invite Pisces people to take a day, if at all possible, bring like a composite type of a notebook, not one with rings, something that is kind of like, like those marble notebooks, but they have them in bright colors. I love buying those. I think I bought one, I bought a whole bunch of them at Target for like 60 cents each. And they come in different colors, and I actually deliberately choose colors for different areas of life. So if you want to like manifest goals, then buy a yellow one, because that'll be for the third chakra. That's your power chakra. And if you're looking for mystical things, purple, something like that. But anyway, you're buying a notebook and you go off into nature, for a few hours or for a whole day and really brainstorm about the things that you want to bring into your reality. And the temple path is talking about the spiritual path, but I think everything is connected. So if you're trying to manifest things for your dream life, then that's a time to really tap into that wonderful intuition of yours and write them down and create this treasure map of how you're going to get there. And just by writing it down, it makes it more tangible. I noticed when I said that, tangible, that flat Midwestern accent. Okay, so that's that card. And then the last one is this one. I already read it, so let me just tell you who this guy is. I'll just put him there. Okay. And where is that booklet? See, I have to rely on these booklets, and so it's not that spontaneous to do oracle card readings. That's the only thing that I am not keen on with these types of readings. Because I feel like then it becomes just reading from a booklet. But there's no way to get around it because the information is so good that I don't want to just bottom line you. I want to give you as much as I can. This is the card about your consciousness expanding. So you see, just like the temple path, you have two cards that really connect to cultivating your consciousness. Mahavatar means great incarnation or avatar, and Babaji means sacred father. Mahavatar Babaji is a deeply respected master yogi who was introduced to the world through the teachings of the Indian yogi Paramahansa Yogananda. Babaji, as he is called for short, is said to be over 2,000 years old and able to travel between Earth and other worlds. He is said he is said to have an invisible temple in the Himalayas that can appear to those he wants to connect with. Many believe he is like Christ himself, bringing deep love, acceptance, forgiveness, insight, and direction. You may feel that you've retreated from the world recently. Maybe you've not been as active socially or spiritually, but this time of inner rest has really paid off. You are becoming more and more consciously aware of how connected you are to God and all living beings. This sense of union is called yoga. Yoga goes beyond physical ability and into a sense of awareness that's created through spiritual practice, meditation, and devotion to the divine. Mahavatar Babaji, the yogic father, is here to inspire that fire of union within you so that you can understand how your thoughts and actions are creating the waves of energy that form your life. I think Pisces people already know that inherently. The only thing is pushing away thoughts of being of life being faded, even though we could say that in some ways it is, but it's a very it's multi-layered, because even that fate you may have chosen before this lifetime. So you may say, I was a victim of abuse as a child by, let's say it's by your parent. But how do you know that you didn't choose that parent? Your higher self didn't choose that parent before you were born. So technically, you did choose that parent. Maybe not consciously in this lifetime, but before this lifetime, and you forgot that you had chosen this parent. And so then the idea of who is the victim and who is the perpetrator becomes more blurry. It's not about that. My statement has nothing to do with minimizing abuse, because I think that is a horrible thing to do. But I want to kind of bring it back to this idea of self-empowerment. That's all that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in being a psychic or somebody who's going to tell you what's going to happen. I'm interested because you know what? Even the greatest psychics don't always get it right, do they? So we have to rely on ourselves, our own intuition. We're living our path, and we have to be, I think we have to be active more than passive. There are times not to act, but there are times to act. And and always acting with a sense of, I am creating my reality, not reacting to life, in other words. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this. I do have an astrological version of this that I do utilizing your natal chart, so it's much more tailored to individuals. It's a life path career reading. If you're maybe at a crossroads, or there's something you want to do and you want that kind of possible synchronicity, that maybe a message from the universe or just from me, check out my website, rainamoonastrology.com. The link is below. I wish you all the best, Pisces. Happy birthday to those of you who are having one. Take care. Bye.